Hi everybody and welcome back to part 2 of collaborative thoughts on why do people bling out the deck with Dark Partition 84, Dark Nacelle 1989 and Scapegoat User.
Howdy.
And of course, myself, Emma Blue Eyes. Nice to meet you. Okay, in part 2 we're going to discuss like cards that are only in shiny form, like for example, and meta cards that are used and the prices of them and you know what's better, what's worse and things like that. So I think I'll start things off by starting off with a typical meta card of Pot of Duality.
Duality!
Okay, out of you three, who uses a Pot of Duality? Say yay or nay.
Depends what deck I'm using.
Yeah, I use them. I use them.
Yeah, I use them in my Lightsworns and my Blue Eyes Dragons. Now, I don't know if you guys can actually see that very well, but I've got one super and I've got one secret. Now, if you don't know the story behind the secret one I've got is that I went to Kingdom of Adventure in Kirkcaldy, which is in Fife, for a day, and they had one last Duelist Revolution battle pack, booster pack, sorry. Opened it and I pulled this Pot of Duality at the very time when it was worth £160 in the United Kingdom. I think that's the highest I've ever seen some cards go. I mean, there's probably gone cards that have gone higher. I know the Crush Card Virus is like £1,000 now.
Dark Secret Dark back in Canada, that format was like...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Now,
they were going for like 250, 300 a piece.
I know.
Ridiculous.
Now, Pot of Duality... I'm trying to speak here, you know. Now, Pot of Duality, I'm really sorry for the bad lighting, guys. Pot of Duality, as you know, is only available as a secret and as a super. Now, the secret is still worth about 50, 60 quid on eBay, but the super is less than a tenner. Which isn't interesting to say the least, because it used to be a meta card I hated, and I'm pretty sure some of the guys hated it as well. But I now find it a really useful little card, and I've said in many videos that I would say it is a good staple for most decks, but if you can't afford it or can't get it, there's better alternatives to use than this card. But I mean, what are your guys' opinions on the price differences between the super and the secret Pot of Duality?
It all depends on if you're a whore or not. If you're a shiny whore, you have to have secret duality. If you're not, it's super, and the super is better anymore.
What about the rest of you?
Well, I think with the whole duality thing, the prices I've seen it go for recently is about 35, 40 for the secret and about 10 at max for the supers. I mean, again, they're both out of print now because the tins went out really quickly, but obviously...
It's out of print?
Yeah.
Already? I didn't know that!
So?
Yeah, they only did a certain amount of the tins, and George Revolution has sold out for quite a while now. Really? Because
I pulled a booster pack the other day at Toys R Us. Nobody go to Toys R Us in Livingston, I will kill you, that's my place.
Emma just goes in there and raids the boxes.
Yeah, pretty much.
Goes in there with the bathroom scale.
Not even going to comment on that. What about you, Richie? What do you think about the price differences between the two Pot of Dualities?
Well, just in general, it's just laughable. There's a piece of paper could be so much, but
You're forgiven, Josh.
I don't know. It's pretty ridiculous. I think the price of the super rare one is fair.
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot fairer.
Yeah, totally.
And because it was reprinted in a tin, it means that a lot more people had access to it, which again is going to link in with a topic we're going to discuss at the end, of people being able to afford it and being absolute numpties at being able to afford that kind of card. But the other cards I could talk about that I've got that are still relatively expensive in rarity. Another example I could give actually is Mirror Force. Now I've got the original Metal Raiders Mirror Force here, but Mirror Force has been reprinted 4 times I think. It's in Duelist Pack Yugi, Dark Revelations or Dark Beginnings. It's in the Mark Structure deck, and it was in the Gold series, right?
Yeah.
And it's been in one more starter deck.
It was in the Dragoonity starter deck.
And the Dragoonity, right? So that's 5 times.
It's also in the Dawn of the Xyz starter deck as well.
Oh right, so that's 6 times. Okay, my mistake. 2 more than I counted. But anyway, the original Metal Raiders Mirror Force is still about £60–70. And the funny thing is, the ironic thing is, I got mine for less than £1.
Really?
Yeah, this kid at school was selling a bunch of Yu-Gi-Oh cards, and this was like 200–300 cards for £5. I bought all of them because I was a real Yu-Gi-Oh fangirl back then. I was like 15–16 when this happened. I bought them all, and in there was the Invasion of Chaos Ring of Destruction and the Metal Raiders Mirror Force, and I paid £5 for 300 cards.
Bargain.
I think everybody's going to troll this because I said that story. Yeah, but even so, even the common Mirror Force, it's still about, I've seen it go for about £10 or so for a common Mirror Force.
What?
I mean, even the as far as I'm aware, the starter deck, the Duelist Pack Yugi was £20 when it came out, so it only dropped like by £40 then, and then when it gets reprinted as a common, it drops by another £10.
I can't believe a common's worth £10. I mean, the Metal Raiders Mirror Force I have, I managed to get...
Josh, what did you do there?
What did I do where?
Let's just say the sound that came out from your microphone sounded like you flatulated.
No, no.
So anyway...
Sorry.
I managed to get my Metal Raiders Mirror Force for about £6 from eBay.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
That's pretty good considering it was from eBay. I mean, I have bought some cards off eBay, but in general, I don't trust eBay on some cases.
Yeah.
What about you, Dark to Sell? You've been quite quiet on the subject of Mirror Force.
Mirror Force is one of those cards where, again, when it first came out, it was desirable, but then obviously reflecting on the amount of reprints it has, it knocks the price down. I mean, the max I've seen Mirror Force go in the last 25 years, well, the max it's gone for is £25 in the last 2 years for the Metal Raiders one. The Yugi Pack one's about 15, and the common ones I've seen go for about £3 or £4. Because obviously, fair enough, it's still a staple card, but obviously not as...
Well guys, if I've got the prices of the card wrong, I'm really sorry, but this is just on sites I've looked at such as eBay and Cool Kingdom and such, and this was actually quite a while ago I saw these prices, which is why I'm mentioning them now, but if the guys have got the prices more correct than I have, then I'm really sorry for the misinformation, but you know, it's just what I can remember at the moment. But yeah, I mean, Mirror Force, it's one of those staple cards that nearly every single deck can use because it's so good. And when demand goes for it, you know, prices skyrocket, which is ridiculous in some cases. But it's still shocking to think that the original Mirror Force still goes for a lot. But it looks really nice in its original form, I have to admit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, it was used by Yugi, and it was a kick-ass card, even back in the day, so who wouldn't use it?
You're right. I prefer, to be quite honest, I prefer the look of a Ultra Mirror Force than the other rarities it's been in.
Yeah. And you know, I actually really like the Mirror Force's Japanese name. It's called Sennen Barrier, or Holy Barrier Mirror Force. Pretty cool, eh?
Yeah.
Okay, next card to talk about, or I think actually we'll discuss these cards, but since they're used in a lot of meta staple cards, and that would be Maxi, Reborn Tengu, Tour Guide, and Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. Now, these cards, all these cards, as far as I'm aware, are either secret or ultra. That's as far as I'm aware. If I'm wrong, correct me.
And no one uses it anymore because it's gone too.
Yeah, Tengu.
What? Sorry?
Tengu.
Yeah, I've seen on eBay, I saw Tengu for a maximum of about £15. Which is not too bad for a card. I mean, if I'm honest, if I'm really honest, I wouldn't pay any more than £15 for a card. But as you know from my Blue Eyes deck history, most expensive card in my deck is my £12 Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon from the Shonen Jump. Yeah, and I'm just reading the list here. Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning, I've seen for about £20 or more on eBay. Tour Guide, like the Pot of Duality at its peak, was about £150, but it's now gone down to about £80 or so, I believe. And Max C, has gone for is about £45 or less. I've seen.
Wow.
Yeah. So these are pretty expensive cards to be considered staples. So if you're trying, I mean, I was actually talking to the Egyptian Prodigy earlier, and he was telling me how a playset of Max C's and Tour Guides was about $300 in his money, which is about $275 in our money.